Hello everyone. And welcome to my shop. All right everyone, and welcome. Today, of course, we will be working on this GMC eventually, but today we haven't got any rain, the sun's shining, so we're going to take this old Chevy out on a cruise. It ain't been out in a while, and it's 34, so I'll probably have to run the heat, but I've got that fine deluxe heater to take care of that. So let's start this dude up and see what it does. Gosh, it seems like it's been probably 2 weeks. I don't think it's been 2 weeks, but it's been a while. 2 pumps, neutral, ignition. What do we got? There you go. She wants to run today. All right. All right, now we're out and about. Oh man, it feels good to be back in the saddle again. The little Chevy is wanting to run, and the heat's running good. Matter of fact, I'm about to kick that fan down to a slow setting here momentarily, because it could run you out after a while. But you know, I'm thinking on music today. You know, music is such a great and powerful medium. You know, how many times have you been out and about cruising, either by yourself or with a loved one, or you're sitting somewhere and a song will come on, and it'll just take you back to a great old time, you know, bring back a great memory for you. You know, that happens to me quite a bit. And, you know, it's just, it just shows you how music is to us. The other day, wife and I we were coming back from church, and decided to put it on an old oldie station. And we were kind of running late. And because the old preacher, you know, just said some words, long words, and kept us there. And actually, he's not an old preacher, but just reminds me of a song, one of my favorite all-time songs by Leonard Skinner, Curtis Lowe. I would guess that a lot of you all know that song. You may not hold it in as high an esteem as I do, but that's a great song. And well, while we were cruising, a song came on the oldie station we tuned it to, and it was the song came from out in the 70s by the name of Timothy. Now, I don't know if you all know the song of which I'm talking about, but I'm going to say a few things about it and we'll go from there. But as we were cruising, you know, and that song came on, I told the wife, I said, hey, you know, I liked that song back in the day. She said, you did? I said, yeah, I mean, it had a good beat. You know, back then in them days, I didn't listen to a whole lot of the lyrics. I'd listen to some of them, you know, just enough to kind of, you know, go along with the song, but I was more interested in the beat and the sounds and the harmony, you know. And I really didn't get that deep into the lyrics of a lot of songs, and obviously this is one of them. So she says, so you like it? I said, yeah, I like it pretty good. She said, do you know what it says, what it's about? I said, well, yeah. I said, it's about a couple 2 or 3 guys that get stuck in a mine, and I guess one of them dies and only 2 come out. She says, well, yeah, that's kind of it basically, but did you know what came about with the guy that died? I said, well, no, I guess I did. I guess he died of thirst or hunger or something. She said, no. She says, but I'm not going to tell you. When we get home, you just look them lyrics up and then tell me what you think about it. Well, you know, we were so intent on talking about it that I really didn't pay a whole lot of attention to the lyrics as they were singing. So, boy, they're really blocking a lot of this traffic around here today. So, anyway, doing a lot of tree trimming or something. But anyway, what was I saying before I rudely interrupted myself? Oh yeah, the song Timothy. She says, well, when you when you get home, while we were driving, you know, we were so intent in our conversation, I miss a whole lot of the lyrics. So she said, when we get home, you look it up, just see what you say. Well, I got home and I looked it up, and by golly, I can't believe I didn't realize all what this song was about. And what I'm going to do is, if you all know the song, well then you know, and you're no sense in even thinking about more stuff. But those of you that may not know what I'm talking about, the song's name is Timothy, and came out, I believe, in the early 70s. Could have been the late 90s, but I'm pretty sure it was in the 70s. And I'll link up here if it actually came out in the 80s, because it kind of had a high beat that could fit in all three. Well, not really the 60s. It would have been the 70s or the 80s. But anyway, look it up, Timothy, and then you can tell we were some wild and crazy guys back in the day. So anyway. Well, boys and girls, this has really been a good cruise. I've just turned the radio down and just kept to my thoughts. And this truck has come through again. Well, all right, everyone, back here at the shop. Boy, that was a nice cruise. I started listening to my music and really enjoying it, and all of a sudden it started fading in and fading out on me while I was driving, and I thought, well, dadgum, I just put this thing in and it's failing on me. No wonder I got it so cheap. Well, I pulled over, found me a spot to pull over, and I reached down underneath the dash, and I started messing with the wires, and the audio would come and go. And I thought, well, wait a minute, it may not be the radio, it may be the wire in here. So I climbed underneath it while I was there and searched around and tugged here and there, and I believe I found the problem. And it wasn't in my splicing that I thought. I immediately thought it was something I did, but actually what I found was something else. Oh, well, let me show you down here. Yep, I'm down under in my favorite spot underneath the dash of this old truck. Now, I've repaired my cup holder. I had knocked it off last time I was under here, and it's at the perfect position, but it's at the wrong position for me to be under here. So ain't that something? So anyway, I've got some light showing up here, and I want to point out what I found. And I also found what I think was causing my weak reception, and so I think I got that fixed up too. So let me shift gears here a little bit, and I'll show you. Man, I don't look comfortable at all. All right, I've switched to a smaller camera here so I can see better. And the light, it's not really as good as I'd like, but I can't maneuver it anymore. But anyway, I was messing around with these wires here on the radio, and it would come and go, and ended up these two plugs right here. There's one, there's two. Now the top one has the speakers, and it was clicked in good and tight. So I unplugged it, shot some contact cleaner on it, and plugged it back in. This one that has the power was not secured, clicked all the way in, and it ended up that the plastic clip was not bent enough to actually make connection. So what I figured was happening is it was backing off, as I drove and starting to make intermittent connection. Now, the odd thing was my display never went out. It was just a sound kind of going in and out. So I pulled it off, gave it contact cleaner, bent the pin, the clip, plugged it back in, and I cannot reproduce the problem now. And I'm going to go out on another cruise here shortly to make sure. But now that's what I just got done. But as far as my poor radio reception, here's my antenna connection here. It slides in. And I've got it in there good and tight now, so I really don't want to unplug it. But what happened was, on the antenna part of the of this connection here, you've got your I'm gonna go ahead and unplug it. All right, here we go. That's the best way to do it. All right, you have this here, which would be your actually the tip here would actually carry your audio. Is actually your signal wire, and then these two clips right here, they expand out, and they are the ground that connects inside the barrel connector here. Well, these were slightly cocked, and they weren't coming out, and they were not making connection to the ground in here. So basically, the antenna was not grounded to the radio. And, you need to have a full circuit. You need to have a feed and return. So I bent these clips out to where they made good contact, and I could slide them in here, and I know it's making good contact because now it's real tight. And by doing that, all of a sudden, my favorite radio station that I wanted to pick up, I am now getting. So isn't that something? So anyway, looks like some of my wiring may have been the problem. Well, this antenna, that's how it came out of the pack. I should have checked that better if I didn't, but in troubleshooting, I've got it fixed up. And I ran into one more situation with my USB, because I was wanting to, since I had the poor radio reception, I was listening a lot to my jams on my USB. And I'll cover that here in a moment. All right, we're back in business. We got that antenna situated, taken care of, and I was talking about the problem I was having with my USB stick. Now, I'll go ahead and flick it over. And there we go. And he's playing. Yeah. Now here's the old stick. So what I did was I've had this old stick for I used it for backing up files and everything. So it looks like I had a three-tiered problem going on here. And I'll show you another thing I ran into in the front. So it's something. Well, all right, that's about all I'm going to get done on this thing today. I'm going to take it back out and enjoy some tunes on my cruise. I'm really getting into some tunes lately. I found a couple old CDs that I wondered where I put them. One of them was the greatest hits of CCR, and another one was Grand Funk Railroad. Some of the old timey stuff. So I got them on there, and I'm curious to see how they're going to sound out there. I got them burnt last night. All right, I'm back from my successful little cruise where I tested my radio reception and my audio, and it's back to working just like I did. So I'm happy again with it. Now, what I did run into a problem while with the key on testing I was doing, see, I don't have an ACC setting, an accessory setting on that key switch. I just have basically on and off. I don't even, start. This is a stomp starter. So when I turn the key on, it puts power to these pigtails, to both my chokes, and it heats them up. Well, I'm going to guess we're probably looking at outside temps today are about freezing. I'd say about 32. And, well, I'm going to tell you, this engine needs all the choke it can get to start. Now, after playing around in there, getting the radio right, I couldn't hardly get this thing started until I finally figured out that by pulling these air cleaners, I noticed my chokes weren't closing, and they were a lot of tension on them to keep them wide open. Then it dawned on me, you know what? They're working exactly as they're supposed to, because there's been electrical power to those coils for the whole time I've been in here testing with the radio. So, long story short, if I go to work on this radio anymore or anything else that requires key on power, I'm going to come out here and pop these pigtails off those choke coils so I'm not got power to them. Lesson learned. Anyway, and if you look down here, you can see that heat. I mean, I prepared those Fenton headers, cast iron headers, as good as you can, and I put good heat resistant paint on it, and look at that, it's burnt plumb off. So, and no matter what you do, you just that's just the way it works. But other than that, oh, it's running good. I'm just so happy with it so far. Now, I'm going to guess a refreshed 216 engine would work just as well. Well, maybe not as well, but would start and run just as well as this starts and run. And it's just what happens is we get a hold of these old trucks, and 9 times out of 10 the engines are if they're not the original, they've been replaced with a used other engine, and they're all wore out. It's a night and day difference when you have one refreshed. Now, they're not really, to rebuild one like I did this one is not cheap. But then again, if you're going to drive one quite a bit, and you want reliability and you want more power and you want it to be able to start. Now I'm running in the winter. I run this thing in the summer and the winter. I've ran this thing at 100 degrees ambient temp, and I've run it at 10 degrees ambient temp, and it just starts and runs. It doesn't care. It does take a long time to warm up, because this before I get off I get off on stuff so much. What I'm saying is the money is well worth that you'll spend to refresh an engine. It's well worth it, because you'll be extremely happy with the results, the performance, and the easy starting, and just everything. No smoke, no extreme blow by smells. But anyway, I'm changing gears a little bit. You see these two tubes here. Now, what they're for is theoretically, they are to put hot air in a chamber that runs from here to here in this intake manifold. And the purpose is to heat it up, to get that manifold hot, so the cold, which is extremely cold gas that comes down, it's being sucked in by the cylinders, that it atomizes better, that instead of being droplets, it's more like a spray, a fine spray, because a fine spray will burn more efficiently in the cylinder than a atomized fuel will burn more efficiently in the cylinder than fuel droplets. So you won't, and the factory, they have a fairly fancy setup to get heat to the intake manifold and to heat with the single carburetor, and it puts heat directly under that single carburetor right there. And it worked pretty good. I drove with the 216, that's what I ran, and it started and ran a whole lot better cold than this setup does. Because these tubes here, even though they do get hot, you can tell by the discoloration there, they get hot. And there is hot air getting in there. It doesn't properly, it doesn't flow. In other words, it's not continually replacing that hot air with the heated air from the exhaust with new heated air, because you would hope that when, you know, one exhaust is flowing, the other is closed, so it kind of makes maybe some sort of a vacuum to pull it in, but that doesn't appear to be the case. Now, Tom Langdon, who I bought this setup from, he does not push this hot air type setup, and he says it don't work, and I'm about to believe he's exactly right. He recommends going with hot water. So you actually have an adapter that goes here between the thermostat housing and the head to feed the hot water, and you take it in down here at one side, then you come off the other side and you wrap it around over to where you can either loop it back into the engine or you take it to the heater core, okay? Now, of course, now the water's got to get hot to do that, so it's got to run a little bit. It takes a couple minutes before I start feeling any heat in my heater lines over there. So, but it's more consistent heat, and it is flowing. It's always getting fresh, hot water flowing through it. So he's right. That's what he recommends. To tell you the truth, I just let it idle. I just let it sit and warm up more. Since this is really not a daily driver, it doesn't bother me. I start it, I load up what I'm going to get it, I go and do whatever I need to get done, close my garage up and everything before I pull out. So I'm doing fine. But that dual, I tried a single pipe, now I've tried both, and they really don't function nowhere near as good as the stock did. And more than likely, it doesn't function as good as the hot water does that Tom Langdon and a few other people recommend. So anyway, if you want to go to a setup like this, you're a daily driver, or you just don't want to take the time to let it warm up, extendedly warm up, then you might think about going with hot water. But otherwise, that's pretty much what I'm going to get done with today. I've got, it's been a real busy week, so I haven't done anything with the GMC. I am starting on the interior. That's going to be the next project with it, and that's these seats. And I've got 2 sets of seats back here, and I'll pull them out more and show them. But I like that off brown looking set because of that console there, that armrest type console. The grayer ones don't have that, but I'll just see. There is a drawback to them. There is a hole in that passenger side seat. So anyway, if you like this thing, give me a subscribe and a thumbs up. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a good one, and we'll see you around.